Day, good people. So today we are focusing on grade 10's work, which is the wave, sound, and light. That is the first topic. So we are going to tackle the first portion where we are dealing with the transverse wave. We are going to look at the transverse wave. We are going to look at the principle of superposition, and we are going to look at the wave speed, and therefore we can do this example or this question. So let us start. So we have wave, sound, and light. So underneath wave, sound, and light, it's just a very easy topic and it has a lot of marks. So if we can have a lot of marks in it, therefore they are very easy to score, by the way. So we can literally pass physics. So let us start. And therefore, underneath wave, sound, and light, the first thing that we have to understand is the pulse. On what is a pulse? So we say a pulse, this one is a single disturbance in a medium. So that's a definition of a pulse. That's a single disturbance. So if it is a single disturbance, we are talking about something like this. So this one is a pulse. We call this one a pulse. So if a pulse is like this, it goes on to make a wave. But a pulse is made out of what? It is made up of particles. It is made out of particles. So we should understand that in each and every wave that we have particles, and we should understand what is the motion of these particles inside a wave. So but this one is a pulse, which is a single disturbance in a medium. So for example, if you have a wave like this, and therefore this one, just this one here, this one we can say this one is a pulse. So this one can be a pulse. That's single disturbance. So two pulses, they form a wave. So I hope we are getting a clear vision on what is a pulse. So that is a single disturbance in a medium. So let us proceed. Let us go to a transverse wave, or we can say a transverse pulse. So a transverse pulse, it's the pulse whereby the particles, they move perpendicular to the direction of a motion. So let us say we have a single pulse. So here is an example. Here is an example of a transverse wave. So let us say we have this transverse wave, and for the direction of this transverse wave, it's going like this. So it is moving to the right. So and therefore inside this wave, we have particles. In these particles, they are moving up and down. So that means if I make a wave on these particles will move up and down. So that's why we say if the direction of the wave is going to the right, therefore we will have the particles which are perpendicular to the direction of the motion. So that one will be the definition of a transverse wave. We have particles moving perpendicular or at right angles to the direction of the motion. So let us look at this transverse wave. So we have some multiple or more things that we have to focus on, or we have to deal with when we are dealing with transverse wave. We have this wave. So we have two waves here. So it starts from here, it goes on like this. Therefore until here, this one is a complete wave. This one is a complete wave, and therefore another one starts from here, and therefore it moves again until it is complete there. So that one, it's we have two complete waves here. So when we have these two complete waves, we have to identify what is A, what is B, and what is the relationship between A and D, so and so forth. So let us label our diagram. So we have something that we call an amplitude. We have something that we call an amplitude. So an amplitude, that is the distance from rest. So where is the rest? This line we call it the rest. This line we call it the rest. That is the distance from the rest to the maximum point. So the maximum point, or to the maximum point, or to the minimum point. So that means from here, from rest up to here, we will find the amplitude. This one is the amplitude, because here is the maximum point, or from here up to here we can find the amplitude. So this one, B, is the minimum point. So that's how we identify an amplitude. And therefore we will have what we call here at A, the maximum point. Here at A we will find what we call a crest. That is the maximum point, a crest. And therefore the minimum point, we call it a trough. So that is the minimum point. So A becomes our crest, which is the maximum point, and therefore B becomes our trough, which is the minimum point. So we have some cases whereby you will be asked to identify a wavelength. So a wavelength is it's found between 2 points which are doing the same thing. So from here, from this rest up until here, we will find the wavelength. From here up to there, we will find what? The wavelength. So we call it, the wavelength, we define it as the distance between 2 consecutive points which are in phase. So that will be the wavelength. So for example, another place where we can find the wavelength between A and D, this one will be the wavelength, because this one is the highest point and this one is the highest point. So these 2 points are doing the same thing. So between 2 points that are doing the same thing, we will find the wavelength. So even also here up until to there, we will find what? The wavelength. So because this point that is here at the minimum and this point that is here, they are doing the same thing. So we will find what? The wavelength. So that's what you need to know there in this one. But there is this important part that we should not exclude: the in phase. When we are talking about points which are in phase, we are talking about points which are doing the same thing. So more like, if you can see here, if I have a particle, the particle is moving up like this. So the particles will move like this, and therefore the particles will move. Let me just erase a bit so that we can see what I am talking about when I am explaining the in phase and the out phase. Okay, so if we have something like this, we have points. The points are moving like this. So in this one, we have the particles, not points, the particles which are moving in that direction there. So the wave is moving in this direction there. So in every point, we have that wave that is moving in that direction. So how do we identify points which are in phase? We identify points which are in phase by identifying the particles that are doing the same thing. So for example, we have this one, the particle that is here, it's going up, and also the particle that is here, it is also going up. So between this one and this one, we will find the points which are in phase. Also here we have this one which is like this, and here at D we have this one which is like this. That means A and D are in phase, because these points here are doing the same thing. Also this one and this one, these 2 points here, they are in phase because they are doing the same thing. Also here and also here we will find points which are in phase, because these two, they are doing the same thing. So that's how we can put it on things that are in phase. So let us move to the principle of superposition. So on the principle of superposition, they say this one is the algebraic sum. Algebraic sum. That is the algebraic sum of two amplitudes. Of two amplitudes that occupy the same space at the same time. So that is the algebraic sum. You will be asked maybe to find the resultant of the two amplitudes when they meet at whatever point. So we will use the position or the principle of superposition. In the principle of superposition, we have the constructive interference, we have the destructive interference. So now let us start with the constructive interference, on what is happening on the constructive interference. If you have a wave that is coming like this, and therefore you have another wave that is coming like this, and therefore we add these two waves, and therefore let us say this one is 2 centimeters, and therefore the amplitude is 2 centimeters, and therefore here the amplitude is 3 centimeters, and therefore they say calculate the resultant of these two waves. So we will use the principle of superposition, whereby since these two waves or pulses are in the same, or they are in the same line or same direction, they are all going up, or they all have the crest. They all have what? The crest. So we will add. So we will use the algebraic sum. So we will say 2 centimeters plus what? Plus 3 centimeters. Therefore, the resulting will be 5 centimeters. And therefore, if you have to draw it, you will draw it as in like this. And therefore, you will label here, that is the resultant amplitude will be 5 centimeters. So when we have two pulses that are meeting at the same point at the same time, meanwhile both of those pulses, they have a crest, we will say that one is what? It's a constructive interference. And therefore we have a destructive interference. A destructive interference, that's whereby if we have a pulse, let us say the pulse, this one will be 4 centimeters, and therefore we're gonna add with another pulse maybe of 3 centimeters. So we can see that this one, on this pulse we have a crest, on this pulse we have a trough. So once you have two pulses that are meeting, meanwhile they have different crests and troughs, so that one will be a destructive interference. So how do we find the resultant of this one? So we will say it will be the 4 centimeters plus minus 3 centimeters. So why is it minus? Because this one is going down, so it is going in an opposite direction of the other one. So when it's going in opposite direction, the other one will do what? Will have a negative number, or you choose which side to which you will choose which side is negative. So I've chose going downwards as negative, that's why I say it will be minus 3. So therefore the resulting amplitude will give us what? 1 centimeter. So it is positive, that means the amplitude or the pulse will go up. The pulse will go up, so the amplitude will be 1 centimeter. So now let us say, what if the amplitude is we have this one. This one is too small. That pulse is too small. Let us say we have a pulse that is 2 centimeter, and therefore we're gonna add it to what? To another pulse of 4 centimeter. Therefore we ask, I'm still choosing up as positive, therefore I will say 2 centimeters plus minus 4 centimeter. Therefore the answer here will be minus what? will be minus 2 centimeter. Therefore that means now it is going down, our pulse is going down because of this minus. So therefore our pulse will be like this. Therefore that one will be 2 centimeter. Right. So let's again move back here. I want to tip on the mistake that most learners do. So they can draw a line from the maximum point or the highest point to the minimum point, and therefore they say this one is 4 centimeter, and therefore they will ask you what is the amplitude. Remember, the amplitude is from the maximum point to the rest position, or from the minimum point to the rest position. So that means if you are given 4 centimeters, we will have 4 centimeters half. Therefore you will get 2 centimeters. That means the amplitude will be 2 centimeters. So that's most mistake learners make when they make such question. So we have a wave speed. As much as I'm making a wave here, the wave, it has a certain speed that it moves along that medium. So whereby we can say we have this wave. This one is the speed. The speed is measured in meters per second. We have f which is the frequency measured in hertz, and therefore we have the wavelength. This one is the wavelength. The wavelength is measured in meters. Therefore we have this other formula for calculating the frequency. This one is the frequency. We already know the frequency, it is measured in hertz. This one is the time, or I can say this one is the period it takes for the wave. So it is measured in seconds, and therefore this one is the one, because frequency is the time taken for a cycle to complete one wave per second. Okay, let us try to look at this example, which is question 3. So they say in the diagram below we have two pulses. We have P and Q, pulse P and pulse Q. We can see them here, they are, that move towards each other in a slinky coil. The pulse P has an amplitude of 12 centimeters. That means from here up to that maximum point we have what? We have 12 centimeters. And pulse Q has an amplitude of 8 centimeters. That means from here up until there we have 8 centimeters. The two pulses meet at position Y. So if they meet at position Y, assume that there is no loss of energy. If they say assume there is no loss of energy, that means this one will continue being 12 centimeters until to the end, and also this one will continue being 8 meters or 8 centimeters until to the end. Therefore we are asked to define a transverse pulse. So this one are just quite easy marks. So every learner should get these 2 marks of a definition. So that's how you first score marks to physical sciences. Definitions, you should always know them. But okay, we will notice that one, and therefore I'm interested in these calculations. They say 3.2, write down the name of the phenomenon that occurs when the two pulses meet at position Y. What is that phenomenon? It is the phenomenon of the superposition. Superposition. So what type of the superposition? When they meet here, this one is a destructive interference. This one will be destructive interference. That is the type of phenomenon that occurs. And therefore they say on 3.3, calculate the amplitude. Now they want the amplitude of the resulting pulse. So they want the resultant pulse when these two pulses meet at point Y. So we already know we have to choose the direction. Let us choose as down will be negative, therefore up will be positive. So we will have 12 centimeters plus minus what? Minus 8 centimeters. Therefore the answer will be 4 centimeters. Therefore the answer will be 4 centimeters. Therefore that one will be the amplitude of this new pulse. Therefore they say pulse P travels at distance of 0.6 meters in 1.5 seconds. Calculate the speed of the wave. So we already know we have V is equals to F times lambda, that is the wavelength. So we are given the wavelength, which is 0.6. We are given a time, which is 1.5. So they want the speed. We do not have frequency. We cannot find the speed if we do not have frequency. We have to find the frequency first. So let us go. We will say the frequency is equals to 1 over time. So we are given what? The time. So we will say 1 over 1.5. And therefore we take on our calculator. Use our calculator. We will say, let me just see it up. It will be 1 over 1.5. Therefore we will get 2 over 3. Let us write it in decimals, of which it could be 0.06 or 0. Oh, okay. It will be 6. Let me just say 67 hertz. So now we have the frequency. That means we can take this frequency and substitute here. We already have the wavelength. So we can say V is equals to 0.667 multiplied by 0.6. Therefore what is that one? We'll say the answer multiplied by 0.6. Therefore that means it will be, the speed will be 0.4 meters per second. So that one will be the wave speed. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please support me by subscribing, and therefore we will meet on the next lesson.